you may see in this video some orbs floating around. There's plenty of spirits around me, and especially in this house. So you can almost make it into a drinking game. If you see one, take a shot. Hey everybody, I'm back. It's Scott Gold. Today I want to do something a little bit different. It's a anniversary of sorts in my life, a somber one. I wanted to talk to you today about friendship and really the importance of friendship, especially in hard times and in difficult situations, and how important those friendships are, how to foster them, how to maintain them, and things that I've done in the past when, a friendship has been tumultuous, and something that really has helped to rebuild almost lost friendship and has made it to be one of the strongest friendships of my life. And we're 25 years friendship together, and it's a really great thing if you have wonderful friends. So, I call my channel the Scott Gold Experience, and from a life of hardship, I've been able to build a lifetime of experience, I say. And hardship can mean something different to everyone. For some people, hardship is a financial hardship, and for some people, they have family hardships, and for some of us, we've lost a child. For other people, they have health challenges. It can mean something different in every situation, but with every challenge is an opportunity. And what we're supposed to do is to learn from that challenge so that when you get on the other side of it, there's always a lesson in it, and it's our job to discover what that lesson is. Because very often with the challenges and obstacles that I've faced, when you're in the situation, you often think, I don't know how I'll ever get through this. I don't know how I can withstand it. But somehow you do, and when you do, it's your job to take those lessons and really internalize them and understand what it was you were meant to learn from that situation. Because in my life, and I'm sure in most people's, if you don't learn that lesson, you're destined to repeat it. And it'll just re-enter your life in some way or another. It may be in a different way, but you're still not learning the lesson, so you're still going to have to go through that situation. So they say you can go over it, you can go under it, you can go around it, but ultimately you just have to go through it. And it is that process that you will usually find those lessons that you learned are going to be important to you in what's to come. And so often you have a situation and you find that, but for the fact that you experienced that situation, you would not be able to withstand the situation that came later. Everyone in this world has a gift. And my gift is the ability to see people for exactly who they are at a core level. Some people might call that intuition. Other people might have another name for that. But it can be a blessing and a curse. When you have that information, when you're able to see people for who they really are, you now feel compelled that you have to use that, and you have to make decisions to only incorporate good people in your life, really. And it can be limiting in a way because, like I said, there are a lot of people in this world that aren't so great, and a very few people who are exceptional. So you try to find the best people you possibly can. Friendship is definitely something that'll sustain you and help you get through it. And I have a best friend for probably about 25 years now, but we've gone through some difficult times in the past, and I have two friends that I consider like my best friends, and in both of those situations we've had periods of difficulty. So there's things that you can do, and maybe this can be a little bit of a help to anybody who's out there going through a tough time in one of their friendships. And so I met my one of my best friends in high school, and it was one of those situations where we hit it off, almost immediately. And we came from really similar backgrounds, very similar circumstances, and very similar family dynamics, and it was one of those very rare situations where you just like instantly become friends. And uh, after high school, we kind of both had separate lives. We went our separate ways and went off to separate colleges and kept in touch, but certainly not as close as we had been. And when we graduated and we had, I guess, came back to the same area again and had more time to spend together, we really rekindled our friendship. And it was a really great friendship. But, in those days, if you recall, the mobile service Sprint. And I know that it recently like went out of business and no longer in existence. And I don't know how it was in the later years, but back in the day it was lousy. And it actually, I can almost say it really contributed to the downfall and near destruction of one of the best friendships I've ever had. So I'll get into that story, but we would text and communicate and everything, but there would be times where we just I wouldn't get responses. And you wonder, okay, well, why not? Sometimes you would, sometimes you wouldn't. Sometimes you'd pose a question about getting together and you wouldn't get an answer. And it was very strange. And I really just kind of assumed that it was, her trying to be more important, not answer texts or something like that. And it was very unsettling, and it really created a divide. And sometimes you would get a text and you wouldn't respond because you allow ego to kind of get into the mix, and you just sort of ignore them, and it just created a further divide to the point to where we hadn't talked in a very long time. And I got a message once from my best friend's sister, who I was also very friendly with, and she was really upset. She said, I need to know if you want to be friends with us anymore or not. And if you don't, that's fine. But I need to know because I need to let my sister know. And I was really taken aback by it because I said, well, first of all, what do you mean? And she said, well, I understand you don't respond to her. She writes you. You don't write back. You don't reply. And I said, let me just stop you right there, because she doesn't reply. She doesn't respond. And as a matter of fact, she's the one that started all this. So why don't you talk to her and find out what's going on? So I believe that she did, and it was just, we both kind of had separate stories. It was, she felt that I was the one that was doing that, and I felt that she was. So it was really kind of funny because on one particular evening, well, it was in the middle of the night, like 4:30 in the morning, all of a sudden my phone started going crazy, and I started getting like 20 different texts, all in rapid succession, one after the next, ding, 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 ding. And I looked at it, and it was all, bizarre texts that, had nothing to do with anything, that they were completely out of order, and they were pertaining in some situations to things that had happened months and months ahead, before that. And I was like, what in the world is she texting me like this in the middle of the night? And I contacted her like a day or two later, and she said, I didn't send that. I don't know what you're talking about. I was sleeping. I didn't send that. And then she contacted me later to say the same thing happened to her. And of course, I hadn't been sending these texts. So we figured there's something going on here. There's something amiss, and what we ultimately figured out, what must have happened is that these texts were like somehow lost in like cyberspace. There was some technological glitch. And for whatever reason, they were all just being sent and just dumped in the middle of, the most inopportune time. And probably a big portion of the miscommunication we were having was due to this technology glitch. But, it had at that point gone so much deeper because, we were ignoring each other in the first, after this, and we weren't talking. And so we decided we really needed to get together and talk. And, it's kind of funny because years later you would see that the Real Housewives of whatever, and in an episode they would be meeting up at some restaurant and having it out. And it was like, well, that's exactly what we did. And we met at some, quiet restaurant, and we decided we were going to have this conversation. And when we got together to meet up, although we had been angry and we were probably both completely prepared to let each other have it and be angry and argue, a lot of that just sort of melted away when we saw each other because we loved each other and cared about each other, and like I said, we both came from very similar backgrounds, and I'm very blessed in that, my family is extremely loving and extremely compassionate. We tell each other we love each other all the time, and we talk all the time. And, when we see each other, we hug and we kiss. We're that family that, kisses each other on the lips and everything. And I know a lot of people think that that's so strange, but it's kind of a cultural thing. I mean, that's just how it is. And I'm sure with COVID, everyone will probably think that's awful, but it's just kind of the way it is. And so we're very loving people, and a lot of that is shared between the two of us, and our upbringings and stuff like that. So I guess, our meeting was a little bit easier just because of the kind of people that we are. But we figured out basically that the core issue was communication, and it usually always comes back to that in pretty much every relationship. That is what the key is. And we talked about it, and we said, what is it that we can do so that something like this never happens? And we decided that, we just allowed too much time to pass. Too much time had gone by that we didn't talk, and we could have resolved the situation had we talked. Now, a big part of it was that damn cell phone company, which the first step was to get rid of that company and get new cell phone plans. That in and of itself will eliminate, a good portion. But what I said was, we need to start talking again every day. And if we do that in some way, it becomes impossible for us to ever drift apart again. So what we started doing was we said, we're just going to, communicate in some way. To this day now, it's 25 years, and every single day we communicate in some way. And what that looks like for us is, we both have very busy lives. We're both very busy at work and don't have a lot of time and everything, but we make it a priority. And that's the thing. You have to make this relationship as much of a priority as a romantic relationship or a business relationship or any other. I'm in the office by 7 in the morning, and she works in the financial trading industry. She's like starting work at 4:30 in the morning, and now she's at home working, but in those days she was going into the office. By the time you lay your head on the pillow by the evening, you can pretty much rest assured that we will have communicated. And if nothing more, it would be, good morning, hon, how are you? And it may be, hey, okay, everything's slamming busy right now. And on other days we have time to go back and forth. But, we keep on top of what's going on in each other's lives, and there's just not an opportunity to have a falling out. Anything that happens, we have to talk about and not allow time to pass and things to fester. For anybody who is having issues, you just might want to just start with a simple thing like that, because it's really hard to ignore someone who you're in constant contact with. And the other thing, whenever we do have any kind of a small issue, I always say, I'm going to love you and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And, that's the thing. If you can not be afraid to tell people how you feel about them, that's what a friendship, a relationship, whatever it is, people, they want to know that you have affection for them and everything. And I think in a best friend situation and or whatever, that you want to know that, we are best friends, and that the sentiment is that you're my number one and I'm yours. And this is maybe sort of cultural. Loyalty is absolutely everything. You don't ever want to give the appearance that you are better friends with somebody else than your best friend. So for anybody who is struggling in a friendship or a relationship of any kind, remember to put communication first, make it a priority, and tell them how you feel. I don't know. There's no shame in that. I think people get really weird about telling people how they feel about them, or they think it's weakens them in some way to tell people that. And I always end my videos like this. If you haven't subscribed yet, it's not too late. If you have, welcome to the family. I love you for watching.